Thomas riding on the front. Gap coming down a little bit. The Katzberg will be the next climb on the agenda. They come in fairly quick succession, heading towards the Kemmelberg and the Monteberg. Both of those they will tackle twice. Everyone wants to be in a prime spot there for those. Looks like Jürgen Roelandt's there briefly on the front. Arnaud Demar, the French national champion. Christian Knees of Team Sky. I think Van Avermaet's in this group as well. Yep. Greg Van Avermaet, that heavy fall on Friday. Greipel, all in the black with the white helmet. He's got the red peak on his cap underneath it. Greipel towards the rear there. Doesn't look much fun, does it? Here we are back with the leading group. Chalingi there, rather hoping that one or two others might come forward. As they head into Acre. Plenty of fuel being taken on board by the riders. They need to remember to eat constantly during an effort like this. Nicholas Maas, teammate of Mark Cavendish. Cavendish not in these leading couple of groups here. If you've just tuned into the coverage, Cavendish, one of the favourites for the race, of course. Crashed earlier on. No major damage done. Chased back, got back into the peloton, but suffered a puncture at a key moment, just as the race was splitting into pieces in a strong crosswind. Maas just easing off, having gone to the front of the race. Stage winner in the Tour of Burgos in Spain a couple of years ago. Luca Paolini now with the yellow overshoes on. Success in these Belgian conditions before. Paolini, Degenkolb as well, very well positioned in this leading group. Gerald Ciolek in the black with the yellow writing on his upper arms in the middle of your picture. Former winner of Milan-San Remo. Some big hitters here in this front group. The group's just about to get a lot bigger as well. I think this is Chalingi riding on the front. As Lotto Jumbo send another rider up towards the front. The rider's still wrapped up against the conditions here. And the second group out on the road, about to make the junction. Stein Vandenberg, I could see from Ethics Quickstep up towards the front of that second group. This goes up, and it's Knees of Sky. This is Chalingi, though, opening up a little advantage in a fairly short space of time. BMC still been working hard in the last 20 minutes or so to keep Van Avermaet in contention here in this race. Greipel up at the front of the chasing group. Greipel looking pretty good today. That's Sagan fiddling with the sunglasses in the middle of your picture next to Greipel. As we bring up the rear, there's de Bussera, the Belgian champion. And more road furniture successfully negotiated by the leading riders here. But this section of the race, this middle section of the race, unrelenting, climb after climb in quick succession, flattens out again the longer the route goes on and the closer we get towards the finish in Wevelgem. But a lot of the sprinters, they just need to hang on through this bit as best they can. Of course, the wind and the rain are added factors today. There's Hausler. Looks like Buhani as well going through. Decent sized group here. And we still have almost 100 kilometres to go in this race. But it's been exceedingly busy out there.
Yeah.
Well, he's not quite out of sight and out of mind yet. Hausler back in the bunch, but still loitering at the back. And Chalingi looking as comfortable as one could reasonably expect at this point in the race. Out in front. Two riders finding it really tough going out there. But Chalingi, one of the older riders in the race at 37 years of age. Winner of the Tour of Belgium as long ago as 2006, out in front at the moment. Podium finisher at Paris-Roubaix as well 4 years ago. Just a slight steadying at the moment as they fan across the road. Luca Paolini on the right, Thomas just behind him. Greipel in the centre, Roland's there, Sagan as well, Sepp van Mark. Clays still up there for Sky. So Chalingi now on the Katzberg. The third climb of the race. Been very prominent. The Lotto Jumbo team trying to take control of things here. Sepp van Mark, of course, their key rider. And here's the chase group. Os and Roelants there in the red in support of Van Avermaet. Paulini never far from the front. Sepp van Mark forced to make an unscheduled stop, presumably a puncture. And we're back with the leader. You just never know, do you? Your outlook in a race like this can change in an instant. First helicopter shot we've seen for a long, long time. The weather conditions making it rather too treacherous for a while. But that to me looks like the first group on the road behind our lone leader. I think that's Jürgen Roelants there in discussion with Greipel on the front, the two Lotto riders. Van Mark soon back on after his puncture. Still plenty of riders within range of the front of the race here. Greipel trying to stay clear of any potential problems on this descent by putting himself right towards the front. We've seen crashes on descents like this inside the last week more than once. Oh, the slippery mud washed across the roads, successfully negotiated this time. Steady pace here at the moment on the front of this main group. No real concerted chasing down of Chilinghi at the moment. I think this is Paulini coming back, yeah, onto the back of the peloton. Jens Kukelera from Orica Green Edge, just easing off the front of that first chase group. Kukulera will be cheered on by the local crowd, the Belgian rider, as Chalingi takes on the Bannerberg. Hardy souls out there cheering the riders on in the wild conditions on this Sunday afternoon in Flanders. Remember the Tour of Flanders, the Ronde, just a week away. Acceleration now just starts to split up this chasing group. Looks like Trentin up towards the front for Ethics Quick Step. And here we go, the chasing group also on the climb now. They're about 10 or 11 kilometers away from the Kemmelberg, followed by the Monteberg. Kemmelberg should start to really sort them out. And it's really starting to hurt for those clinging on at the rear. Who's this having a little look as well? Creating an immediate response off the front of that group. I wonder if that's Ed Turns. Certainly looks like one of the top Sport Vlaanderen riders, despite the fact that he's got that black jersey on over the top of the usual colours. So at the moment, Chalingi still at the front and Peloton at 1:02, as you can see, but actually between the two at roughly 50 seconds is Jens Kukulera of Orica Green Edge. We're not being shown him at the moment, but he is in front of these riders, but behind Chalingi on the front. Looks comfortable, still riding strongly. Not much advantage being gained here by this rider from Top Sport Vlaanderen. The BMC rider who's been pretty prominent as well on the last climb, Manuel Quinziato, still up there. Kukulera, he's the second rider on the road. I think he's about 10 seconds in front of the main chase group, which is just starting to splinter. Well, the gloves are really starting to come off now, and that's no surprise because the Kemmelberg is very much on the horizon in the next few kilometres. I think it's about 45 seconds from Chalingi back to Kukulera at the moment. The peloton are about a minute behind. First part of the chasing peloton are a minute behind, the second part a minute and 10 as it splits. Hopefully we'll see that in just a moment. It's a long, lonely road though for Chalingi. 83 kilometres still to go. There's Kukulera, riding for the Orica Green Edge team, the 26-year-old. Kukulera, former winner of the 3 Days of West Flanders, a stage winner in the Eneco Tour, and the stage winner in Tour of Austria as well, helping to animate the race today. There's a quick look at Adam Blythe there on the back of that group, but Kukulera is about to be joined. And Nasser Bouhanni now just slipping out of the back of that peloton. We saw him losing ground on the first of the climbs, Kasselberg. He's been hanging on, but he's struggling to do that now. And Kukulera has company. Looks like Daniel Oss to me from BMC. Right, it's coming across all the time. I wonder whether that's Geraint Thomas just trying to make the close the gap. He's caught between the two at the moment, if indeed that is Thomas. Who have Lotto got up here at the front of the race? Let's have a look here and see who this is. Looks like Jürgen Roelandts on the left-hand side, Daniel Oss. Jens Kukulera. And that is Edward Turns, who we saw the other day in Dwarsdorf, Vlaanderen, riding so strongly. He's got great legs at the moment. And I wonder if that's Stijn Vandenberg from Ethics Quickstep who's joined that leading group as well. It is Stijn Vandenberg. And the leader once again. With 80k to go. And the Kemmelberg on the horizon. The first of two ascents of the Kemmelberg. On the front of the first chase group here for Ethics, Zdenek Štibar is right behind him. Geraint Thomas well placed, Sepp van Mark as well, and they have the leader within their sights. The rider in red in the chase group on the right is Jürgen Roelandts from Lotto. And a little bit further back, there we just had a little shot of Alexander Porseb of Katusha. De Bussera, Van Avermaet hanging in there as well. Knees going through. Kukalera, Heyman, Paulini. Look at the effort required here. The chasers closing in on their prey with every revolution of the pedals. And the Kemmelberg, one of the key points of the race. De Bussera, the Belgian champion, just going through. Arnaud Demar there in the red, white and blue of the French national champions jersey, with the red shorts there out of the saddle. Well, he felt that, didn't he? And no surprise. Packs a punch, the Kemmelberg. Jürgen Roberts leads them towards the front of the race. Situation changing all the time out there on the road. They've got to be careful here. If that was Degenkolb on the back of that little group, but it wasn't. It was Zico Waitens. Both here at the finish and where the riders are, as you can see. But Rollins is looking a bit strong for Chalingi here. Climbs coming thick and fast here. Monteberg, the latest. And the Monteberg is where they are at the moment. Geraint Thomas just taking some fuel on board. Stibar too. Paulini back in that familiar position on the front row of the peloton. And Chalingi is being distanced here by Jürgen Rollins. Rollins doing his best to take the race by the scruff of the neck at the moment. And Chalingi will be swept up by the chasing peloton shortly. His time at the front of the race having come to an end. Peter Sagan there just undoing his zip and showing us that national champions jersey of his. And it's a real fight just to stay in the race for those towards the back. A battle to just stay among the wheels amid the mud and grime of the country roads. But Laurens de Vries, they're looking like he's trying to get down to business. Rollins stripping off and ready for action. Ready for the business end of the race. Well, there's no holding back now. Jürgen Rollins inside the final 75 kilometres of the race with Nicolas Maas and Stein Vandenberg on the front for Ethics. Arnaud Demar just dragging himself towards the front of the peloton a little more. Paulini rarely moves from that position he's in now. He's the rider with the beard. very slow progress for the riders out there today. Here's the chase group, 52 seconds behind our leader. It's like Nicholas Maas on the front there for Ethics. There's Greg van Avermaet in third place in this group. This is the second chase group. Peter Sagan fourth in line as well. Just looking to see whether Alexander Kristoff is in that little group too. Here we are at the front of the race, and Geraint Thomas there disappearing off. Ow, and that's a really nasty fall there for Geraint Thomas. Caught by the conditions and simply blown into a ditch. It's really tough for those riders out there today in this Ghent Wevelgem race. Paulini, Van Mark, Os, Vandenberg and de Bussera. Now without Geraint Thomas at the moment. Hopefully Thomas will be okay. Could easily have taken the wind from his sails there. Sent absolutely flying. We need to get back to Thomas to see how he is. Let's hope that he's back on his bike. Let's hope that he's not going to suffer from another classics crash, which is something that has affected his campaigns in the past. There's Thomas, with the team car up alongside him. Well, good to see that he's back on his bike and seems to be okay. But that was a nasty moment for him. Stibar up towards the front. Arnaud Demar still hanging in there as well on the left-hand side of your picture. Schilek as well. He's just tucked in there. Plenty of riders just hanging on. Sagan in the middle of that group too, hoping that the race pans out his way and suddenly opens things up for him once more. It certainly looked to me as if Geraint Thomas was just blown off the road, losing his balance on the grass before being sent flying through the air. But here he is. Now, how far behind the group is he? Well, not too far at all. Very dangerous conditions for the cyclist today at times, and illustrated there by what happened to Thomas. But good to see him back in that group, good to see that he's made his way back. And it is now once more a chasing group of 6.
Oh! How do you hit it better than that? Well, Rory?
Terpstra. Terpstra still keen to make an impression, clearly. We haven't seen our leader for a little while. Here he is, Jürgen Roland, still battling away against, I was going to say battling against the breeze, but it's rather more than that. And of course, there's no protection for him at any point. No breakaway companions at the moment. ...184 kilometres in the bag. 36.5 k an hour, the average speed today so far. And this is the rider leading the way. Not quite inside the last 50 kilometres. And we have the Bannerberg, the Kemmelberg and the Monteberg still to come before heading for Ypres, and then the finish by the men in Gate, and then the run into Wevelgem. The only good news for the riders, it will be a tailwind on the way into Wevelgem and down the finishing straight. Jürgen Roland, with bags of experience at 29, a podium finisher in the Tour of Flanders 2 years ago. Winner of the Euro Metropole Tour as well in 2013. And if that spectator lets go of that flag for an instant, it'll be halfway across the field. Sort of weather to really keep the fair weather fans away today. This is the first chase group again. Paulini sitting on the front. Thomas appearing to show no real after effects of that spill. That was a lucky escape. 2.5 minutes, 2:42 we're hearing now. Back to the main part of the peloton, or the peloton that remains in the race. Jürgen Roland's not desisting at all here. Really working hard into a nice settled rhythm. So here's our little chase group. Jens de Bussera, happy to just sit on the back of it with his teammate up the road. And a group growing in size, with Terpstra having joined it as well. Niki Terpstra, having jumped away from the peloton, has closed the gap on the 6 attackers. So Terpstra is into the equation as well. As Heyman has a little look off the front of the peloton. This is the second group, second chase group. Just having a look to see who that rider is from Wanty Group. Gobert on the front, wondering whether it's Lukemans. people having a look round at the moment without being fully committed. Canadian memorial made of white granite from Quebec, weighing nearly 15 tons. The monument at the top of the Hill 62, a tribute to all Canadians who fought in the area in 1916. As many as nearly 8,500 Canadian casualties. And Canadian maple trees planted on either side of the road there. Meanwhile, Jürgen Roelants opened out a lead of just over 2 minutes here. Going really well, but still 50 kilometres to the finish. It's a wet, tired peloton out there, with the weather really keeping the pace down. I think he's about 7k away from the 7th climb, the Bannerberg. 3 more Hellingen, and then it will be nearly 40k into the finish. It's a flat run into the finish in Wevelgem. Roelants, a picture of determination here, and not showing any sign of weakening in his pursuit of victory. But what a gargantuan effort it will be if he can hang on to the finish. My goodness me. But with Terpstra having joined that chasing group, I think they're really going to try and get down to business pretty sharpish here. Sepp van Mark, followed by Daniel Oss there in the red and black. Just under 2 minutes the gap. That's Terpstra, the latest rider to have a few problems with his cape. De Buthera continues to have the free. Paolini now showing the colours of Katusha, having taken the jacket off. There he is in the white. Won't stay white for long, I guess, on those roads. Still the full-on effort there from Jürgen Roelants. You can see the wind just catching him. Really having to battle hard to stay upright, never mind move forward. And it was those sort of winds that had Thomas off his bike a little earlier on. Terpstra down towards the back of the group. De Buthera in the national champions jersey is parked up on the back, which is where he will stay for the foreseeable future. Roelants hasn't given any ground on the Bannerberg. The latest time check says that we're roughly at where we were. 2 minutes. Strong and feisty ride from Roelants. It's keeping him out in front at the moment. Refueling a constant process in a race such as this. 240k today for the riders. Including Bradley Wiggins. We look forward to seeing how he fares in Paris-Roubaix in a couple of weeks' time, his big project for the early part of the season. And we're back with our leader, Jürgen Roelants. Spinning away, nice steady rhythm. Didn't lose much on the Bannerberg. He has got the Kemmelberg and the Monteberg still to come. The Belgian national champion tucked into the chasing group, so Either way, they've got 2 cards at the business end. Terpstra on the front, Thomas up there too. Vandenberg now leading the way, Paolini at the back with De Busseret. Eaten half a dozen seconds or so out of that lead on the Vandenberg. Peloton with Chalingi, who a little while ago was on the front of the race. Now riding at a rather steadier, more sedate pace between now and the finish, it would seem. As they hit the bottom of the Bannerberg. It certainly does mean that we're going to have a different winner this year with, I think, with John Degenkolb not up towards the front end of the race, Christoph not up there either. Head turns on the front from Topsport Vlaanderen. Were some calls earlier this afternoon for the race to be neutralised. Such were the difficult conditions for the cyclists out on the road and the danger posed by the wind, which was blowing some of them off their bikes. But the organisers allowed the race to continue, and that's how it's going to be now, all the way to the finish, with Jürgen Roelandts incredibly holding that 2-minute gap. Here we are with the chasers. Can they start to make some headway into the headwind? This is a great time trialling effort from Jürgen Roelandts. Still keeping a nice steady rhythm. Spinning those pedals round, but it's going to ramp up shortly. Here the chasers heading through Kemmel. Still the lead doesn't change at all. Sepp van Mark now leading the way. His face almost as black as his shorts. Terpstra going to the front of the chase group. Here we are on the meat of the climb. Maximum gradient of 19%, and he'll feel all of that. This will feel like climbing a wall, and a greasy, slippery wall at that. This is where it gets really tough. Just needs to try and keep on top of that gear, keep those pedals turning round. Can't afford to lose the momentum. Roared on by the crowd. Will be glad to see a Belgian rider out in front. Sounds like party time at the top of the Kemmelberg for some. Not party time yet for Jürgen Roelandts, but he's still in a good position here. Incredible effort, but relief is just around the corner. Not too much further to climb on this particular ascent. And it's still a solid lead that he holds. This is what the classics are all about, seeing a rider cresting a climb like the Kemmelberg in the lead in a classic. And just as he goes over the top of the toughest part of the climb, here come the chasing group, but the lead has gone out, as you can see, by another 10 seconds or so. Paolini bringing up the rear at the moment. Danielos on the front. Stein Vandenberg on the right of your picture on the front. The Terpstra is the Ethics quick-step rider on the left. Geraint Thomas in the middle with the blue stripe down the jersey. Van Mark in the yellow. And Paolini's rather hanging on a bit here. De Bussera just trying to police this group. Thomas still looks relatively okay, but it's Terpstra making the pace here. Time of the essence now for Ethics quick-step. They don't want another classic to slip through their fingers, disappear off into the distance. De Bussera managing to cling to Sepp Van Mark's wheel, and Paolini off the back, but not by much. He'll get straight back on, I think, as soon as the road levels out. Terpstra and Thomas just starting to open up a little gap here. Stein Vandenberg's really gritting his teeth, staying in there in third place. It's a real big ask now for Sepp Van Mark, who looks as if he's right on the limit in trying to stay with it, but Thomas has got the legs to go with Terpstra. Van Mark and Vandenberg, then Os, then De Bussera, and then there'll be a little gap back to Luca Paolini. Here he is. You'll be relieved to see those cobbles behind him, the Italian. Terpstra trying to take on the chase. Van Mark knows that if Terpstra's making a move and Thomas is with him, he's got to go with that. But in doing so, he's bringing Vandenberg along too. Still 37 kilometers to go. De Bussera, Os and Paolini, the last of this front group of chasers, behind our lone leader, Jürgen Roelandts. Van Mark certainly looked as if he was on the limit there, didn't he, on that that one, disappearing into the red a little bit once that climb really kicked in. Monteberg coming up shortly as they head past the protesting farmers and agricultural workers once more. Those tractors will certainly provide some welcome respite from the wind, though. For a few seconds, at least. Still got a nice rhythm. This really is a gargantuan effort from Jürgen Rohlens. Peloton ambling along, so it is clearly just a race between this man, 7 behind him. Of course, only 6 of them are chasing because one of his teammates is there in that chase group. Paolini working hard to try and get back on with the chase group, the first chase group. Looks as if he's about to get back on. Oss is finding it tough going out there now, not surprisingly. Paolini might have to just head straight past him. Oss is losing ground. And having to dig very deep in trying to follow the wheel of Luca Paolini. Here now, a little bit further back, is the peloton, 6.5 minutes back. Edward Turns in the prominently white jersey of Top Sport Vlaanderen on the front. That's Sylvain Chavanel from EM Cycling in second place in that group. But we're 6.5 minutes back here with these riders. Oss is having a real battle just to try and keep Paolini within range, and I'm not sure he's going to manage it. Oss's tank looking a bit empty now. He's running on fumes, and Paolini struggling to get back as well. De Bussera staying on the back of that little group. Here's Chavanel in front of Turns. Minute and a half, though, the lead for Rohlens, and still a long way to go. It's coming down. And the Kemmelberg has had an effect. He's lost half a minute, roughly. There are a lot of very tired legs. Arnold Demar there towards the back. And Andre Greipel off the back. Well, it's not going to be Greipel's day today. We're looking at over 7 minutes down here on the leader of the race, Jürgen Rohlens. Rohlens quietly goes about his business at the front of the race, as he has done for some considerable time now. The Monteberg is the last Hellingen on the course, the last climb of the course. And when he gets to the top of this, less than 35k to go now. And Paolini has managed to get back on, as you can see there. He's just behind Stijn van den Berg. Nicky Terpstra strong on the front. Sepp van Mark now settling back into a rhythm. Chavanel at least can pick his own line as he heads through the countryside. Gaps coming down all the time, as you can see. Jürgen Rohlens, such a big ask to stay away for the length of time that he has. Never mind all the way to the finish. Under normal conditions, never mind these ones. Even harder. Terpstra's done a lot of work here in animating this chase group. Van den Berg on the front. Thomas in second place. Van Mark taking the beat on. And those riders there very much still in contention in this race. Way behind schedule here. Awful conditions for the cyclists. It's been blowing a gale in Belgium, pouring with rain for most of the day. At least the rain has abated, but the wind most certainly hasn't. In fact, as the day has gone on, it's grown ever windier. It's a great effort by Luca Paolini to get back onto this group of chasers. The prize, of course, potentially is a big one if he can get a second wind and hang in here, depending on how the race pans out. I think it's 1 minute now from Rolands back to these chasers. I think it's 1 minute exactly. Yeah, 1:02. We're hearing it's 1 minute now. And that lead is tumbling down. It's halved in the last few minutes. And they'll know it. And that's why Vandenberg has got the bit between his teeth here. There's Os, who hasn't quite given up the ghost, but the gap hasn't changed in the last couple of minutes. The doubts will be creeping in. Less than a minute. Still just over 30 kilometres to go. The long, lonely road for Jürgen Rolands. Superb effort, but such a long way to go when he made that move. Time trialling as best he can. Be wise to get hold of those handlebars, I think, when he goes into an exposed bit of road, the way the wind's blowing the bikes around here. Coming down all the time. Does look as if it's just a matter of time. Terpstra, Thomas, Van Mark up towards the front. Of course, the danger for these riders is that De Bussera is being given the free ride, or as free a ride as is possible in a race like this. Sylvain Chavanel is completely in no man's land here. I mean, it says chaser, but he's several minutes behind. The peloton were a good 6.5 minutes back when he decided to leave them behind. Sylvain Chavanel, a 3-time stage winner in the Tour de France. Last decent-sized win for him last year, Grand Prix West France Plouay. But it's too little too late, despite his best efforts today. And another one of those sticky gels for Jürgen Rolands. Well, this is a brave effort here from Jürgen Rolands, but gaps just coming down all the time. They will have a tailwind as they head towards Wevelgem, but of course it's an advantage that's going to help the chasers as well. Stein Vandenberg looking really strong there. Van Mark in second place. Thomas tucked in fourth. Paolini hanging on the back. It's been a tough 10 minutes or so for Luca Paolini, but he's still in there. Paolini, of course, a former winner of Omloop Het Nieuwsblad. Sepp Van Mark coming to the front. Easy to spot in that yellow jersey. Sepp van Mark, also the winner of Het Nieuwsblad the year before Paolini back in 2012. Look at the debris all over the road. Stormy conditions in Belgium in the last 24 hours. Really made their mark, both on the countryside as well as the riders. Really hurting now for Jürgen Roelandts. Holding it at 48 seconds at the moment, just trying to get as aerodynamic as he possibly can. He's laying it all on the line here. He has no other choice inside the last 30k. It really has whittled down the field, the weather today. Normally you'd see a pretty decent sized group. I mean, they call this in a way a sprinters classic, because the fact that you've got the nearly 40k, 35, 40k flat towards the finish after the climbs usually means there's an opportunity for regroupment, usually means the sprinters are given at least a decent chance of getting back on. That's often what happens, and you have a reasonable sized group quite often, but it certainly hasn't been the case today. The winner either going to come from the man out in front or from that group there. Thomas having a little look round and finding that Nicky Terpstra was right on his shoulder. Well, he's holding that gap, isn't he, at the moment, Roelandts? About 3/4 of a minute. It's stayed that way for a few minutes now. And Jürgen Roelandts involved in the time trial of his life here as he tries to cling on to this lead, this ever more tenuous lead here at the front of Ghent Wevelgem. Staying at 45 seconds. Slowly but surely eating into the advantage, closing the gap. Stijn Vandenberg's done his turn. Geraint Thomas now comes to the front. That's Nicky Terpstra on his wheel. De Bussera still sits in here in this top-class company, not having had to do any work at all with his teammate up ahead. 25 kilometres to go here for this chasing group, and slowly they're eating into the advantage of Jürgen Roelandts as they head to Ypres. And once they go through Ypres, they'll know that they really are homeward bound, heading for Wevelgem, and the worst of the day in many respects will be behind them. So it's effectively 4 against 1 here. There's the one hanging on to his lead, and the 4 doing all the work. Thomas, Van Mark, Terpstra and Vandenberg. Little stretch for those tired legs of Jürgen Roelandts. Any little shortcut to shave off a second or so worth taking as the race heads into Ypres. For the central square of Ypres, which is where you'll find the Flanders Fields Museum, one of the very best museums in Belgium and well worth a visit. Roelandts just bouncing off the cobbles. And having gone past the Flanders Fields Museum, the men in gate will follow on the route shortly as the race makes its way through the town and then heads out. There we are, the men in gate. A memorial to the missing combined with a national British monument there, a memorial with dual character. The outer side seen as a triumphal arch. The British government initially campaigned for the preservation of part of the ruins of Ypres as a symbol of the perseverance of the British defence of a city that was ruined but never occupied by the enemy. The Belgian population didn't favour that at first, but the memorial there combines the wishes of the Belgian population and the UK as well. Here are the chasers as they head to the men in gate. Sepp van Mark bringing up the rear, still over half a minute the gap. Through the men in gate, and now these riders know they very much are heading for home, and they will mostly be blown home by a strong tailwind. It's a very strong tailwind down the finishing straight here in Wevelgem. The gloves are off for Van Mark. Someone's got a nice souvenir at the side of the road. There's Daniel Oss, not far behind. Just can't get back to them. And Jürgen Roelandts, who can't quite see Wevelgem on the horizon. He's clinging to that advantage at just over half a minute. Will the finish line come quickly enough? Maybe not. Still need to work these riders, and of course Debussy are there at the back in the national champions jersey. Will suddenly become a factor if a junction is made. But the others can't worry about that too much. Now perhaps finding it a little bit more difficult to hang in there. Gap's almost closed, but not quite. Vandenberg has a little look to see the damage that was done. The Hügel Crater Cemetery, located alongside the Menin Road. There was a lot of heavy fighting here in this area, as the elevation was strategically interesting to both parties, and Terpstra has a puncture. Oh, what terrible luck for Nicky Terpstra. And awful luck for Ethics Quickstep once again. And the mechanic finally manages to get the bike off the roof rack. And Terpstra, at a vital moment, has the misfortune of a flat. So Stibar, Cavendish and Terpstra inside the last 18k. Should be quicker than most of the race. Predominantly flat, and predominantly we're expecting with a tailwind. They're way behind schedule here. Terpstra sheltering in behind the car, using whatever advantage he can to try and get back to the front of the race, having recovered from that flat. Terpstra had to stop for a mechanical earlier in the race at the top of the first climb at Kassel as well, at Kasselberg. Well, he's having to use up vital energy here, of course. Little word there from Geraint Thomas to Jens de Bussera. Thomas is going to look to try and get rid of one or two of these riders sooner rather than later. Here comes Terpstra. Now that his teammate has been caught, de Bussera comes to the front for the first time, having had a free ride for much of the afternoon. A free ride in terms of the breakaway group anyway. So I wonder whether Rowlands can still potentially fight for victory here, or whether that's it, as Terpstra, having rejoined the back of the group now, makes a move, and Paolini saw that one coming and was the first to react. Thomas has a little look, nobody else is interested, so he will now try to get on the wheel. De Bussera sitting on Thomas's wheel, but real acceleration there from Nicky Terpstra. And Paolini, who'd just recovered, having found life difficult on that last descent of the Kemmelberg, found a second wind and was very quickly onto Terpstra's wheel. But these two now threatening to break away, and Thomas can't close the gap, and no one looks willing to help him. And Thomas looking across, Van Mark at the back, and Rowlands, the rider who was just caught, actually comes to the front now. Paolini realises that Terpstra is the man that he really needs to work with here. Great opportunity for these two to fight it out all the way to the finish potentially. Terpstra, the winner of Paris-Roubaix last year. Two-time winner of the Tour of Qatar, including this year. And Rowlands just can't go with the increase in pace. They still haven't got a definitive gap on the other four. Rowlands now is just being distanced. Here's Terpstra, going like a train at the front of the race, but the others now, they're getting a bit more organised in the chase. And now de Bussera's teammate Rowlands is out the back. He realises that he needs to get stuck in as well. He's the second Lotto Soudal card. Rowlands, he's a brave soul though, isn't he? He won't give up. Desperately trying to stay within range. Still not a decisive gap that Terpstra and Luca Paolini have on the others here. The others initially didn't look as if they had a reply, but now Thomas has taken up the running here. Stijn Vandenberg will do the following. Little gap back to Van Mark. De Bussera tucked in on the left-hand gutter. And that's Rowlands there, just in front of the motorbikes at the back, refusing to give up completely. Thomas and Vandenberg just opening up a little gap here, and it's interesting to note that, considering he sat on the back and hasn't contributed, of course, to the chase group all afternoon, that when it matters, suddenly Jens de Bussera, the Belgian champion, doesn't seem to have anything there to try and stay with the others. And suddenly the gaps are opening up, and Sepp Van Mark, in the yellow of Lotto Jumbo, is also at the wrong end of this. And it doesn't look as if de Bussera is going to offer much help to Van Mark. Thomas won't get any help from Vandenberg either. But it's not much of a gap, is it, with 13k to go, closing all the time. Good ride here by Thomas. We need the motorbikes to get out of the way here. Great ride by Geraint Thomas. It was a superb break by Nicky Terpstra. Well spotted by Paolini in an instant. And then, having sussed that nobody else was going to help him, Thomas has dug deep here and found the energy to make the chase on his own, albeit dragging Vandenberg with him. But he didn't really have any choice here. Thomas is absolutely flying this spring. Fantastic form. He was superb in Milan-San Remo last week. Right up to the Poggio. On the Poggio, was unlucky, just came up a little bit short in terms of the end of the race. Brilliant at E3 Harelbeke in winning on Friday, and now look at him go again. Distancing Stein Vandenberg. Great ride by Geraint Thomas here, and 2 have become 3 at the front of the race. Stein Vandenberg could still get on here, but he's in the wind on his own at the moment. Sepp van Mark's having to chase. De Bussera's sitting on his wheel now. Mark's throwing the lot at it to try and close the gap here. But he can't do it on his own. Well, the riders, when they do get here, are going to be blown down the finishing straight here into the heart of Wevelgem. The rain, thankfully, abating as the afternoon has gone on. A long old chase here for Sepp van Mark and for Jens de Bussera, but it's about to bear fruit. Six riders then still within shouting distance of the win here. And this is a problem for Stein Vandenberg, and Vandenberg looks like he's got a problem. How many more mechanical issues are Ethics Quick-Step going to have in these spring classics? So just a few minutes after Nicky Terpstra had a problem, it looks like Stein Vandenberg has as well, potentially. Or is he just going back to the team car? Looks like there was some issue there for Vandenberg, but now we're back with the leaders as de Bussera catches his breath. And he's back at the front, going his own sweet way. Who's going to be the next rider to make an acceleration to try to get away and get rid of their breakaway companions? A lot of tired legs out there. A long, tough, attritional race. Not just in terms of the route, but in terms of the conditions the riders have faced throughout the day as well. Strong winds have made life exceedingly difficult. And don't forget, Geraint Thomas was, well, it certainly appeared as if he was effectively blown off his bike at one point earlier this afternoon. Luckily for him, it was a crash which didn't have disastrous consequences. As you can see, he's in this leading group. Little stretch, leg stretch there for Terpstra on the left-hand side as Luca Paolini has a little think about making a move and thinks better of it. They were quickly onto his tail, but this is what we can expect now. Cat and mouse. They've got plenty of time in terms of the fact that the peloton aren't interested. They're way behind. And now Paolini does make a move. Luca Paolini striking out. Thomas the first to react. De Bussera on his wheel. And Luca Paolini, a stage winner in the Giro, a stage winner in the Vuelta, at 38 years of age, puts his cards on the table and makes the bid for victory. Inside the final 6 kilometres. Will the wind blow him home and blow him over the line in first place? Vandenberg looks behind, wants Sepp van Mark to come through. Van Mark's not interested. Nobody's making the chase. Terpstra, I think, may make an acceleration now. He was the rider they were waiting for. Thomas straight onto him. Well, they need to get organised quickly here, otherwise they will rapidly not be in contention for this one. And they're not getting organised quickly, and Paolini could profit from this. Paolini's flat out here. It's 5.3k, flat out time trial to the line for him. No discernible chase of the Italian at the moment. Thomas closed down a gap just a few minutes ago. He's not about to tow everybody back up to the front of the race this time. Are Etixx Quick-Step going to lose out here, despite having 2 of the 6 riders in contention in this race? Everyone's looking at Terpstra and Vandenberg, except for Luca Paolini, who's not even bothering to look behind. And now Stein Vandenberg makes the move that he has to do to try to close the gap and bring himself and his teammate back into contention here. Inside the final 5 kilometres. But Paolini hammering along the road. Well, one of the big favourites for the race here today was a Katusha rider, but it was Alexander Kristoff, the Norwegian, but in the end he's not been a factor. Paolini helping to patrol the front of the peloton earlier in the race on Kristoff's behalf, but in the end he might just prove to be the strongest and wiliest rider out there on the road. It's not over yet though, but it might be soon if these riders don't start to close the gap. Stein Vandenberg with Sepp van Mark on his wheel. Thomas then follows, de Bussera, number 25, and Terpstra at the back. But as you can see, Paolini just out of sight, and they're running out of road here. Vandenberg's looking for Sepp van Mark to help him out, and Van Mark's not interested. Nobody else is, but now Terpstra. Again going on the inside, and Thomas once more senses that Terpstra is the man to follow. And the others are not going with this one. And Vandenberg is going to leave it to Sepp van Mark here. So it's Paolini trying to hold off Terpstra and Geraint Thomas, with de Bussera trying to close the gap. Sepp van Mark looks as if he's struggling a bit here. He's now slipping behind Stein Vandenberg. Can Paolini hang on with 3k to go? Well, he's laying it all on the line here. Terpstra has a little look round, and Geraint Thomas, I think, realises that now is not the time for sitting up. Once more, Sepp van Mark disappearing off the back of this little group. Thomas and Terpstra on the front. Van Mark on his own now. But it's Paolini in the lead, heading ever closer to the finish here. Here's the leader, Luca Paolini. He's taken flight and left the others behind. And at the moment, they don't look as if they're going to close the gap. We haven't been given a time gap back to the chasers. I think these riders here are 4th and 5th on the road. Yes, they are. That's 6th. That's Van Mark. Just in the distance in front, Terpstra and Thomas. Here's the leader. Fingers crossed, no last-minute mechanical problems for him, having negotiated so much for so many hours here. As Ghent Wevelgem in Flanders Fields finally draws towards its conclusion. Inside the last couple of kilometres now. Terpstra towing Thomas. They can see Luca Paolini. They need to work well together, these two. But at the moment, Geraint Thomas heading for a top 3 finish, a podium finish again, having won E3 Harelbeke only on Friday. Brilliant effort from him, but what about this guy here, the Italian Luca Paolini? 38 years of age, underneath the kite. inside the last kilometre. He can almost see the finishing line. Into Wevelgem he comes. The crowd have waited a long time. It's not a big gap between Paolini and the two chasers, but it looks like it's going to be big enough. And Paolini, a winner of a stage of the Vuelta back in 2006, a winner of his home Giro d'Italia 2 years ago, and a winner of Het Nieuwsblad in 2013 as well, is going to add another big victory to his palmares here in the autumn of his career. Luca Paolini, he had to hang in there on the Kemmelberg the last time up. He lost a bit of ground, the gap opened up, but he dug in deep. He got back with the leaders. He got a second wind, and in the end it was more than enough. Wind being the appropriate word today, as he's blown towards the finishing line in Wevelgem. And the 77th edition of this famous classic race goes the way of Luca Paolini from Italy, of the Katusha team. Paolini wins as Nicky Terpstra leads Geraint Thomas up towards the line, and it's Terpstra who takes second place. Geraint Thomas is third, and rolling over the line in fourth place, Stijn van den Berg. And it didn't work out for Ethics Quick-Step yet again, as the Belgian champion Jens de Busseret shakes his head in disappointment. Over the line he comes. Jurgen Roelants, his teammate, having led for so long, he had a free ride at the back of the chase group, but then couldn't assume control of matters after that, as Sepp van Mark comes over the line. Disappointment etched all over his grimy, mud-splattered face. There's the winner, Luca Paolini, who timed his effort to perfection. And we're almost ready for the presentation now, after an epic few hours through Flanders Fields. Geraint Thomas on the podium again. It was the top step on Friday, the third step today, but another fantastic effort from a rider in the form of his career at the moment. And British cycling fans will be hoping that there's more to come from Geraint Thomas over the next couple of weeks. Time to catch his breath after a really hectic but very successful weekend. And the rendezvous next weekend, Tour of Flanders, and in a couple of weeks' time, Tour of the Paris-Roubaix. Here's Nicky Terpstra talking of Paris-Roubaix, last year's winner of the race. Terpstra out-sprinting Thomas for second today. Ultimately, disappointing day, though, for Ethics Quick-Step. Again, they had riders up to the top of the leaderboard, but they couldn't land the victory, settling for second and fourth today. The numero uno, as they say over the tannoy, Luca Paolini, the first Italian to win Ghent Wevelgem since Mario Cipollini 13 years ago. A superb effort and a magnificent victory for one of the most experienced riders in the peloton. That is what you call a high-quality podium there, as Paolini celebrates the fruits of his success. Having come here today, I imagine, rather thinking that he was going to be working for Alexander Kristoff, who in the end was merely sprinting for 9th place.